think we're live. Get some confirmation here. Cora, Drew, can y'all chat me and let me know if it looks good or not? I'll keep my chat up over here too. Make sure y'all can hear me and everything. Does it sound good? Does it look good? All right, cool. All right, so today what I was going to build, I was thinking about different things that we could build in a live build situation, and we had some new actions or some replacement actions that we started that are for doing what's called a single page app. So that's where you want to control like the URL of the browser to control what's being viewed inside of your project. So that's what we're going to build today. First, I'm going to build just like a really simple non-styled setup of it so that it's just really easy to follow the actions. And then I think what I'm going to do is go into the SaaS Starter project. And in the SaaS Starter, I'll go add SPA functionality into it. So what I'm going to do is start by just adding a page. I'm just going to go real simple here. We'll call this our home page. And then I'm going to add a container, a div, just drop a div on there. And then we're going to add a couple of buttons. So we're going to do a first button, and that first button will do, I think I missed the drop point over there. There we go. So the first button, this is going to be open page 1, and then I'll make another button, drag that one over there, and we'll call that one open page 2, and let's put some padding on this div. I'm just going to do some inline styling here. I'm not going to go fancy or anything. Just make it super simple. Go to EMs. So now we have a little bit of spacing around it. And then let's drop another div into the page body. So this one I'm going to call content. So what I'm going to do is make it to where when we hang on just one second. Drew's chatting me. Drew said there might be too much noise. Oh, I wonder if the mic is like taking the wrong mic. One sec. Let me pull up OBS here. Oh, weird. I wonder if it's like taking the wrong mic. Let's see. I bet it is. I think that's probably why. Dorian, Drew, can you guys confirm that that's any better? No idea where the mic was coming from before, if it was on default. Confirmation before I keep going. Cool, much better. All right. So what I'm building here is I've got a little header where you have open page 1 and open page 2. And when we click those buttons, we're going to open the page into this content container. So I'll also add an outer container around this just to put a little bit of, actually we can just do it here. Just drop that inside. And then I'll put a little bit of margin on top, just put some space. And again, I'm not really trying to style this or anything, but make it like that. And then here we'll go a max width of say 1,000 pixels, and go margin auto. So margin auto, and that's going to just make it center. So let's just go ahead and preview that. I'll click preview, go home, and we're just going to have 2 buttons, open page 1 and open page 2, and an empty content section below. So now let's add 2 more pages. We'll call them page 1 and page 2. So this will be page 1, and we'll add a heading, and we'll just call that page 1. And a little smaller, I'll drop another page, call it page 2. And again, I'll make that a little bit smaller. and I'll copy this, copy that one, and we'll paste it over there. Go page 2. All right, so now we have these 2 different pages. And then first thing I'm going to set up is just sort of a normal thing that happens in Bildr. When you click on a button or something on a page, you want to open a different page into a container on the first page. So we'll go ahead and do that. And we'll go on click, we'll make a new flow, call it open page 1. That's going to be an open page action. We're going to open page 1 into the content container. And then I'll make it a little simpler on myself. I'll duplicate that flow and change the name to open page 2, switch the action to page 2, and then I'll go to the button and make that open page 2. So now if we go back to our preview, if I click open page 1, that will open. Oh, I do have to refresh. When you drop new pages, you have to refresh to get those pages into the cache. So we'll go open page 1, open page 2. You can see that just switches them out, right? So this is a normal setup in Bildr for building different things. You can imagine different UIs, like you have a left panel full of buttons, and when you click on one, it opens different pages of content depending on what you're clicking on. Very normal setup. So now what we want to do is make it to where when I click page 1, we have a URL route that goes like page 1, but instead of opening a different source page, we want it to open this main page, but display this inside of it. So we want it to basically perform this action of opening that page if page 1 is in the route. So that way, if I were to like click enter on here and reload it, it would automatically act as if the user had clicked that button. Right, so that's the first piece we want to do here to basically make it set up to where you can copy that link out and share it with someone, and when they paste that link in, it's going to take them to the exact spot in the UI of whatever you're building. So we're going to do that in a couple of different steps. So the first thing I want to do is put a listener on this main page that listens for changes to that URL. So if we go to the flows, the place that I want to put that is in the page load. So that way, as soon as the page loads, we put a nice listener on there that basically just is going to go, okay, is there a route? If there is, then do something based on that route. So let's go drop a listener in there. And actually, I'll type URL path because these are the 2 actions that we're going to end up using. This one is the listener that we're going to set up that listens for the URL path change, like a change to that state. And then this one is what pushes the change out. So like when they click on something, you want to push the change out to the URL to make it appear different every time they do things or as they do things within your app. So first thing I'll do is add this listener. So this listener, what it does is on page load, it'll set a listener to the page that looks for changes in the URL, and then it's going to run a flow. So what we want to do is based on that URL, we want to run a condition that says if it says page 1, do this. If it says page 2, do something else. So I'll make a new flow called condition URL, or maybe page, say URL page. And I'm going to use a switch condition. So a switch condition allows me to have a test value, and then based on the value of that, run different flows depending on what the value is. So the value we want to test for is in the request. It's in the browser URL segment. So the URL segment is the slashes. So the first one is segment 0. If there was another slash, something like this, page 1 would be segment 0. This number would be segment 1. So what we're looking for is the value in segment 0. So we'll do segment 0 here. And then if it's page 1, we want to run open page 1 flow. If it's page 2, like that, we want to run open page 2 flow. So now, back in my page load action, on this listener, we want to run that condition anytime that URL changes. Now, interestingly, we also want to run it automatically when the page loads overall. So as soon as the page loads, we want it to do that check and automatically open the route. So if I come back over here and I just hit, let's go page 2 and hit enter, that's going to now on page load There we go. On page load, check the route and then automatically open that page as needed. So that's working now. So we've got the first part going where if I type in that automatically on condition, it's going to check and then open just like if the user had clicked one of these buttons. Now what we need to do is make it to where when the user clicks open page 2 or open page 1, we actually modify what's in this route. So let's go back to the studio. And instead of open page 2, I'm going to make, or page 1 and page 2, I'm going to make two new flows. One called set URL page 1, like this. And if I go back and search for that URL path, this is where we're going to use this change browser URL path action. So we'll add that. And the URL path that I want to add is just page 1, like that. So now when I click set URL, or when I click this button, we want it to, instead of opening the page, we actually want it to just set that URL. And what's going to happen is because the listener is on that page, remember we added the listener to the page load, this listener is now listening for that change in the browser. And as soon as that change occurs, it's going to automatically pick it up and run that condition switch, which is then going to open the correct page that we set. So we'll do the same thing for page 2. So I'm going to duplicate this, do page 2 and page 2. And then on open page 2 button, instead of running the open page 2, I'm going to set the URL to page 2. Now I do need to refresh because we set that listener up. I think we might have actually already set it up before, but that's okay. If you set up a listener like that, it needs to run on the page load so that the listener can actually get set into it. So our automatic pushing out to the pages won't necessarily work there. You have to refresh the page. So if I click open page 1, that now is just setting this into here, and then the listener listens for that change and then runs the condition, which opens this. So the reason that I like to do it this way is because then all of the decision making for which page to open is flowing through this one condition. So if I want to add any other buttons to the left or buttons to the top or whatever it is, like say for instance I wanted another page, I'm going to add one here and I'll just call this, we'll just say like it's the empty state, and we'll drop a heading on here and I'll call it just empty state. And what I want to do now is back on my condition, I want to duplicate this open page first, do open page empty state, and the page I want to open is empty state. And now in the condition, what I'll do is I can either do it here and have a blank one, but also I can say if there is no match found, I want to open the empty state. So this way I have an empty state to run, or something that I want as the default. So if you were say you were making like an actual SaaS app, that empty state might be your dashboard or your home screen or whatever it is that's going to open when there is nothing in the URL. So if I go back to home one more time, we remove this and I refresh the page, hit enter. So now it's going to open the empty state page because there's nothing in it. If I go page 1, page 2, page 1, it's automatically doing it. Now one thing to note too is if you set it up this way, I can now use the back arrows to go between these states. So if I go forward, it goes back to page 1 because it's hitting here, which is then opening this up. Right? So the back and forward buttons are just going to work here automatically. So that's really the basics of building a single page app. So now I have this one page that's the outer page, and no matter what URL route I'm typing in here, it's always going to that first page, and then the conditional statements and the listener are looking for what's in that URL route and deciding from there to do whatever it needs to do next. So if it needs to open a page, but this could really be anything, right? So right now I'm just having it opening page 1, opening page 2, whatever it's needing to do, but it could literally be anything. Like we could listen for anything we want. Remember in the condition, I had it looking for the browser URL segment, but it might also be looking for other things. Like you could also do things like if this was, say, a query string parameter. So question mark, ref equals Facebook. So let's say you had a Facebook ad and this is coming from there. So now I'm on page 1 and I want to check to see what the reference is. I can also do similar things here where I could, instead of looking at the browser URL segment, I could look at the query string, which is what this is called after the question mark. So I could look for a query string named ref, and if it's Facebook, do one thing. If it's something else, do something else. So you can literally use this for all kinds of things. But the general purpose of it is like find the navigational page that they're supposed to be on just by the URL. Makes sharing links really nice. This is really great for blogs, that kind of thing. So I don't actually have the chat open. I just realized. So I might need Drew or Dorian or Cora to help me out with some questions. I thought that it was going to pull open the chat for me, but it did not. Drew, Dorian, Cora, are there any questions in the chat that I need to answer? Can you guys chat me directly and let me know? And if there are, you just like copy paste them. That'd be awesome. And I promise on the second time I do this, I'll actually have this all set up a little better. First time ever live streaming today, so. Any questions? And I may be a little ahead too, like they might be lagged a little bit. Oh, cool. Drew said he's answering them. Anything that I should jump through? And if not, I'll go build out the SaaS starter project to have a bunch of this SPA stuff in it. Cool. Yeah, ping me in here. That sounds good, Drew. So I'll just keep the chat open on the side, our internal chat, and we'll go from there. It's cool. So I'll actually turn this into a lesson as well, and so that way there's something that you can record or have a recording of and follow along with that's got steps and things like that. But in general, this is how you set up a basic SPA. So let's go into the SaaS starter project template. So this is the actual template that if you start from the SaaS starter project template in Bildr, you get all of this. So this is the actual base template. So I think what I want to do is a couple things. One is I want to set it up, let me zoom in here. I want to set up to where when I click dashboard, when I click customers, tasks, team members, when we go through those things, we'll do the same thing that we just did in that very simple example where it'll automatically take us to the dashboard, or it'll automatically take us to the customers if someone comes back in and goes straight to, I think it's /app/customers. So this one will be a little bit different. So the first thing I'm going to do, I didn't do any prep for this. I thought it would be good for the live stream to just like figure it out as I go. So it's been a little while since I've been in here and seen how this all operates. So the first thing I'm going to do is preview this, and I'll probably have to like sign up because I haven't used it in so long. So I'll have to like sign in here and create an account. So let's, I don't think I have anything, I don't have anything stored here. So I'll go ahead and sign up for an account. And I'll just say Mark0, and I'm just going to put a fake email address in here. Mark0@bildr.com. And we'll create an account here. So now I'm like inside of the app here. So what I wanted to see is, what does the routing look like? How does it already work? So in this case, what I'm going to do is a couple things. I want to make /dashboard go to dashboard, but I also probably want to make just nothing go to dashboard. And then these all open different pages. Account opens different pages as well. Okay, perfect. All right, so let's go back into the project template and let's just get things set up here. So we have these actions for opening those. All right, so I'm going to skip a few steps and just kind of go in the order I would normally go to set this up. So the first thing I'll do is go ahead and throw that listener on there. And we'll put that here. And then I'm going to go condition URL path. And we'll add a switch to it. Actually, let me see. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Let's add a switch here. And the test value is going to come from the request browser URL segment. And this is actually going to be browser URL segment 1 because this is 0. So the next thing is going to be whatever is in here is going to be 1. All right, so we're going to make dashboard. When I hit enter here, what I want it to do is take me to the dashboard. When I hit enter on customers, take me to the customers. So browser URL segment 1. And if there isn't anything, we want it to open the dashboard. If it's dashboard, we also want it to open the dashboard. We'll add a couple more here. Let's go customers, tasks, and we'll just say team instead of team members. And that looks like we need a count as well. All right, so let's open. Where is account? Must be called something else. Let's set the other ones and I'll come back to that one. Okay, so open team members, open tasks, and open customers. All right, let me see. Ah, that's right. This actually works a little bit differently. I forgot about that. That goes here and runs action open account details. So because this is actually like a reference to another page, it's like a component in there. It's actually the account page component. What I'm going to do is make a new action here. I'll call it, just to match the style that's in there, action open account, like this. And I think there should be a dash in there. That's the way that the format's done. And then instead of just doing an open, I'm going to do a run flow on that other page. So what we need to do is run a flow on this account row page. Right, so we're going to go to the account row page and run the action open account detail. So now whenever that flow gets executed over here on the main app page, it'll run the flow inside of there just as if the user had clicked on it. So let's go back to our condition URL path and scroll down and change this one to action open account. All right, so now if I plug that into my page load here, just nest that condition URL path and also set the flow to run to condition URL path on the state change. Now if I go type customers and just hit enter, there might be a little conflict here because I think there's another action that opens the dashboard also. Yeah, so you saw it open the dashboard first and then it switched to the customers. And I think that's because there's something else in that page load setup that's automatically opening the dashboard first. So if we go through the page load here, we can kind of see what it's doing. So it's not here. And here it is, inside of the page binding is where it does that. So I'll remove that because we don't want it to actually open using that anymore because now it's going to use this condition to do it anyways. So let's just go back and I'll refresh with app/app/customers. And now looks like there's one other thing I need to do. It did default it straight to customers that time. But because I have a default styling set up on the dashboard, when it first begins to load, for a second it looks like the dashboard is selected even though it's not. So that's because on this element in the styling, we have it defaulted to having the utility class of selected. So if I just remove that, now the default will not be selected. And if I refresh this again, now it doesn't default to anything and then it just pops straight to customers. So we can test our different ones. So let's test tasks. Cool. Let's test nothing. Should go to dashboard. Nice. We'll test dashboard and good. And then team opens team and account opens account. Perfect. All right. So I think we've got that all set now, but next we need to make it so that when we click on these, instead of just opening the page, we need to switch this out like we were before. All right, so let's go back in here and on these different events, instead of using this action open dashboard, actually I think I'm going to rename these. Let's change these to just open account, open customers, open dashboard, open tasks, and open team members. Cool. All right, so now those are just open there. And then what we'll do is make sort of a similar setup for all 4 of those here. And then the account one we'll actually need to do on that other page, on the child page that's inside of there, the component page. But we'll do these 4 from here. So we're going to go set URL path. I usually do like a hyphen in there. And this one will be dashboard. And we'll add the action for URL path. Remember this one, we're changing the browser URL path history. And one thing I didn't actually note is that this add history entry with the box checked, so that's what actually makes it to where the back and forward buttons work. So when that is sitting, when that's checked, what that's doing is adding an entry into the browser's history saying you went between these URLs, and that way the backward and forward will work. So in this case, I think I just want to do a slash only. And I don't remember here, we'll have to check real quick. I can't remember if I need to put slash app slash like that to have it go there, or if just the slash is going to pick it up. I can't remember how the browser is going to handle that, because when it came from the server, it was already slash app. So I just don't recall which way it does it. So let's set, instead of open dashboard, this is going to, this is going to be set URL path dashboard. So now when we click on that, let's see what it sets into the URL here. So if I click that, yeah, so it removed the slash app. So that means that we definitely want in here to say slash app slash like that. Okay. And then let's go ahead and just duplicate this for customers and customers. And then we will duplicate that for tasks. We'll call that tasks. And then duplicate again for team and team. All right, and then we'll go through and replace these opens with the proper ones, with the corresponding one. So tasks is going to go set URL path tasks, team members, set URL path team. All right, so now let's see. So now I go customers, and it swapped it to customers, which ran here and opened, tasks, team members, dashboard. Cool. All right, so the last one we need to do here is account. So let's go, I'm going to copy one of these flows. Actually, let's copy customers. We'll copy that flow. And then I'm going to go back over to this. And instead of running action open account detail, we're going to make a new flow. So I'll paste that flow in here. And this is going to go account, that. And we will change this to run. Oh, and I need to rename that. Account. All right. So if I click on this, now it opens the account by going slash app slash account. So what's nice about this is 2 things. One is if I refresh, it's going to automatically take me back to account because I went to it through the route instead of just by opening it there. But the other thing that's nice is I can copy and paste this link out and give it to someone, and they can go straight into the app wherever it is. Now there's one more piece that I think we should do that I think will be fun. So we're going to do, instead of just leaving it here at customers, we could do something like customers slash new. And when we have slash new in customers, we can have it automatically open this up. So let's put a customer in here. So we'll say customer 1 and customer@email.com. We'll create that. All right, so we also want to do, I want to do something where we go customers slash, and then maybe we could do like the ID for now. We could also do it with slugs, but we could do like customers slash, and then that will automatically open that particular customer, the one that it finds. So let's do both of those things. So first let's do /new. So the way that I would probably go about this is I would leave the /customers part alone. So that's going to automatically find that customers is in the spot of 1, which will open the customers page. And then what I'll do is put a condition on this customers page that says, that looks to see if the position 2 in the route, it says new, then go ahead and open, run this flow that opens add a new customer. So it'll just automatically do that. And then we'll have another condition where we can check for maybe like, instead of that, we can do a query string parameter of ID equals, and then go like this. And whatever that ID is, if it matches one, we'll have a couple of steps in there. If one is like, if that ID exists, then open it. If it doesn't exist, then do nothing. So first we'll check to see if we have that customer. If we do, then we'll open it. If not, we'll just ignore. All right, so let's do new first. So we'll go back into SaaS Starter and come down to this customers page. And this is where I want to add my condition. So what we're going to do is in the page load, I'm just going to add a condition here. And just a simple condition in this case. I'm going to compare the request, browser URL segment, and position 2. If that equals new, then run the flow action open new customer. Now I already have that set up, right? Like when you click on this, is it on that? No, it's on the outer. When you click on that, it runs this flow called action open new customer. And so all I'm doing is just piggybacking on what's already there, right? So if the browser segment URL or URL segment 2 equals new, then run that. Otherwise, just don't do anything, right? So it'll just stay the same. And I might change this to be like condition new, like that. So now if I go /new and hit enter, we should see it run that condition and pop the form open. Awesome. All right. So now that'll automatically open a new one. And then let's now do one that's a little further. We will do a condition that checks for that query string parameter. I'm going to do this in a multi-step thing. So I'll do it in new flows. So we'll go open, let's see, maybe like auto open customer step 1. So in that, we're going to do a condition. Let me think. So I'll probably do, yeah, let's do it like, I'm trying to think of the best way to do this. So I kind of want to do this in a multi-step thing. So usually what I'll do when I'm doing something like this is I'll set a variable first. So I'm going to set a variable that's called like, customer detail or something like that. Or yeah, we'll just call it customer detail for now. I might change that name in a minute. And I'm just going to set that into the current page. And the value is going to come from a data collection of the customers. And it's going to be the ID coming from that request query string ID. Okay, so remember what we're going to do is make it to where there's a query string on here, ID equals, and then it'll be some value, whatever the actual ID value is. So that's where I'm going to look for the ID of the customer. It doesn't really matter what fields I get here, but I'm actually only setting this. We already actually have it in cache because whenever the browser loads the list, it's going to already have cached it. So it doesn't need to do like another network request or anything to see if that customer exists because we already have the customer information, all the customers sitting there. It's the way this one is set up. If this was not set up to load every customer by default, I would untoggle this use cache thing, and then that would force this to go through the network, like go back to the database on the server, check to see if it actually exists in the server or not. And if it doesn't exist, then it'll bring it back. Or if it does exist, it'll bring it back. If I have it in cache, this is not going to go to the server to do it unless it hasn't been requested yet at all. If it hasn't been requested, like if the list of customers hadn't already been called and this ran, Bildr's front end is smart enough to know, okay, you've never requested this type of data yet in this session, so go get it from the server anyways. But if it's already been requested, like in our case here where we are actually caching all this information, then it will just go through cache. All right, so we've got this first step, which is this. Now, the second step is a condition. And what I want to do is put a wait, first of all, and customer detail is my variable name. What I'm going to do is check to see if that customer detail variable has a length, which is how many of them there are, of 1. So in this case, I'm returning an array of however many customers it finds with that ID. Okay, and so if it finds one, then it'll do the next step. And actually, I just realized this should actually be step 2, and I'll show you why. So I'm going to change this to step 2, and then I'm going to make a new flow. Oh, 1 sec. And we'll call it step 1 now, and I'll show you why. So what I'm going to do is first just check to see if there even is a value up there in that query string. So if the ID query string doesn't have anything in it, then just don't do anything. Just skip. But if it doesn't, if it's not empty, meaning it has something in there, then go to step 2. So now, at least that way, if there's nothing in there, it's not going to try to do like the request for the customer or any of that kind of stuff. It's just skip. But if it does find that there's something in that query string parameter, it will automatically go here, which will then go get that customer if there is one. And we'll see in a moment, if we type one in that doesn't match, then this is going to go to 0. So it's going to have nothing. It'll have found nothing. So it'll evaluate to false, which will leave empty here. All right, so now we're going to do step 3, which is to open the customer. So let's go step 3, and we're going to go open page. And actually, I'm going to go look at on here when we go open customer detail. I want to see, okay, it's in the app lightbox, and then we run this. So I'm going to copy this flow that runs on the app page. I just need to see where it opens into. So step 3, we're going to go open page, and we're going to open into the app, and the container we're going to, I'm sorry, not the page. The page we're going to open is the customer detail, and the container we're going to open it into is on the app, and the element we're going to open it into should be at the bottom, I think. Yeah, lightbox centered inner. And this is really important. We want to pass a specific record. So we're going to choose here in the record context, we want to pass a specific record. And that specific record is a customer. And the ID comes from the same spot, that request, in the query string ID. So remember, we've already confirmed that there is one and that there's only one. And so we know that that value is a valid customer ID. So this will find a particular one. And then we just want to choose get all fields here. And then the last thing we're going to do is paste in the run flow that I copied from here. So this is going to run the flow on the app page to open that lightbox up. All right, so just make sure we're all set here. I think we're good. And then the last thing we got to do, first of all, let's make sure. Good thing I came back and checked. So if the length equals 1, then go on to step 3, which is going to open it. Otherwise, don't do it. And then the last piece we need to do is nest this inside of here. So one way we could do it is go, if it's new, then open new customer. If it's not new, then go auto open customer. So that way it'll check to see, is it new? Is it asking for a new one? And if it is, just do that. If it's not, then go on and check the customer out. So doing this kind of thing where I'm making it a little more efficient, like rather than just nesting all this stuff in, I'm going step by step, right? So it's going to check through some things. The last thing I'll probably do here, let me go through, okay, this is doing a condition for the refresh. Yeah, I'll probably here put a wait. So that's going to add like a little tiny bit of lag because it's going to have to go to the server, get all the customers and all that stuff. And we might do something about that with like a please wait. But for now, I think it'll probably be fine. I want to make sure that finishes though, because otherwise the cache won't be done returning before the condition runs for customer step 1 or customer step 2 to see if there's a matching customer. So first thing I got to do though, I do need to go get a customer ID. Do I have that in here anywhere? It's funny, I don't actually have the customer ID showing anywhere in there. I might actually just add that real quick. Don't know. Zoom out a little bit. Let's see. So, customer detail. Let's add, and I'll come back in probably, or we might have time, but if not, I'll come back in here and clean this up a little bit. But I like to do things like, put the customer ID in here. And I think I'll do this with, let's do a div and then use 2 spans instead. So we'll delete this out. Excuse me. Drop my phone. There we go. Let's add 2 spans. So I need to get an ID, so I'm going to just use this to do it. So text span, we'll go ID like that. And then let's put another span on here inside of that container. And I'm using spans because they'll go side by side here. So if I zoom in on that, they'll go side by side, right? That's why I'm doing that. And then I'll probably just empty out the display text here because we don't actually want it that. And I'll name it customer ID. And then this will pull from a field from the customers, and we'll pull the ID in. Right, so now when we go open that customer, we should get the ID. So here's the ID. Okay, so now let's paste that in and hit enter, and let's see if it works. We open that up, see if I missed any pieces in there. Nice, all right, so that worked all the way through. So the last thing we need to do is actually set this up to get concatenated when I click on this. I haven't actually done this before with these actions, so we'll see if that works. So I'm going to basically concatenate this together, /app /customers $ID, and then pull the ID. So that way when they click on it, it'll go between the customers. So let's add another customer. Customer 2, and we'll just create it. I don't need the email address or anything. All right, so now we've got 2 customers in there. So what we want to do is, depending on which one they click, we change this up here, which then gives us a link to go back to. So let's see. So let's go I usually like to do this that way, it's just less to think about. Like I'll come over here, go to the event, I'll just copy this out of there. I usually copy the name too. You can also copy the flow. There's a lot of different ways to do this, but when I'm doing like a single, like a one-off, that's usually how I'll do it. So we'll go to flows, new flow, set URL path, customer ID, and I'm going to paste this in there. But oops, I pasted twice. Double click. All right, so instead of doing /app/ like that, what I'm going to do is concatenate a value together. So we're going to go /app /customers $ID equals, and then we're going to do another value from the current record field value, and the current record is a customer, and we're going to pull the ID. And then what I'll do, oh, you know what? I probably could have, if I copy this, I can just paste that inside of here. So that way it doesn't have to, I don't have to have like a whole separate flow for it. So I'll delete that. All right, so let's see if that works or not. All right, so we'll go customer 1. Oh, I think that was the one that was in there. Customer 2, sweet. So we've got it up here now. So now if I hit enter on that, it should take me right to that customer 2. And if I go customer 1, it changes it out. And if I hit enter on that, it changes it, or it doesn't change it, it opens it up. So So that's how now we've got these different scenarios where if I click on something, it just swaps it out. And what's really nice, if I click back, notice it goes straight back to the customer that I was in, right? So if I go back again, go back again, go back again, go back to new, go back to customers list, go forward to new. So the whole thing is just tracked inside of the browser. So it's a really clean way to do this. And especially if you have a public app that's shared, like this SaaS app, is shared amongst team members, right? So we actually do this in cycles where like I'll have a task and I want to share that with Drew or someone, and I just copy. We actually have a thing in there that copies the link. So that's something else we could add to this actually. We could go here and have like a copy link button here. Actually, why don't we just do that real quick? It's pretty easy to do. So we'll actually just like copy this whole URL into your clipboard, and then we can just have that as something we can paste. So let's do that real quick. So we'll go up here, and what I'll do, let's see. Let's go feather icons is what I usually use for this kind of stuff. We'll go copy, and I think I'll use a black icon in this case. So that, and we'll copy and name it like that. I might already have one, I don't. All right, so I'm gonna drop, I may come in here and clean this up. I think I'll definitely come in here afterward and replicate all of this functionality into these other parts, into tasks, and into everything in here. But let's go here and downloads, black. All right, and then I need to pull this class off of it. So we'll just do this as a copy for now. And let me see if I have, do I have a cursor? I do, I have a cursor pointer in here. So now on that, it's gonna have a little cursor. And on click, we're going to do copy URL path to clipboard. So we're going to do a couple steps here. There's an action type in Bildr called copy to clipboard. It makes it pretty easy. But in our case, what I'm actually going to do is go, I think I can just go system and grab href. I think that will actually copy it because it's going to copy that whole thing. And then there's also, if I remember right, I think I have a system message thing in here. Okay, I couldn't remember if I did that or not in here. I did. So let's see, do I do it? What do I do in here? Here we go, look at this. System message, new task created. So I'm gonna copy this flow, move it over to here, and inside this, paste it. Oh, and I had one in here, customer info saved. I could have just copied it in. Actually, I think I'll just delete that and we'll just copy it out. All right, so let's go to copy URL path to clipboard. We'll paste this, and system message will say, let's see, customer link copied. That's what we'll put in there. And then I'll copy this and paste it, and we want to make sure we have a wait between it. So now it'll copy to clipboard, it'll set a system variable saying the customer link was copied, and then it'll run the flow that shows that system message. All right, so let's go here and we'll click copy. Cool, customer link copied. All right, so now I'm going to do a new tab and paste, and that should take us straight into that customer record now. Close all this. Cool. Okay. So now let's go back just to make sure that that works. That was customer 1. Let's copy customer 2. Go to a new one, paste it, and we've got customer 2. Cool. All right, so our copy paste is working. We've got the system message popping up. I think, I'm trying to decide if I want to do any other stuff on here. I think it's probably best at this point to just replicate this across tasks, and I don't think team members are even openable, so it's really just tasks. So let's just do that real quick. I can probably do it in the 9 minutes I had left allocated for this hour. So we'll just do task 1 and create it, and then we'll do task 2. And a lot of this is going to be copy paste, so it's going to go a little faster because I'm not having to think through like how to do it as much as just doing it. So let's do a couple things. One is we'll copy, actually we should probably do both. Let's copy this over to here. And where was that? Was it in the outer? No, it was inside that inner. Okay. So I had it in here, so we'll paste it there. And then this is going to be task ID, and change this to tasks and ID. So now it'll get its value from not company ID. So let's check that, make sure that that works. I did that on add a task. Duh. Did it on the wrong page. All right, let's paste that in. We'll do it again. That should just be there. Cool. And now we'll delete this out. While I'm here, copy that and paste that here. So we have the copy. And then let's see. That should all work. Try this again. Cool. All right, so we've got that and that. Nice. All right, now back on the customer, let's go to the copy path to clipboard. I'm going to copy this flow. The nice thing about this is this one I don't actually have to change much because it's just copying the href, you know? So the really only thing I need to change is task link copied here. All right, so now that's showing the ID. We've got that copying. Now we need to come down here and make this actually open it and work properly. So I'm going to go to customers first, and we're going to go, I think we'll do, let's just start with the simpler one. So condition new. So there's one cool thing here I could do. Yeah, let's do it like this. So I'm going to copy this flow, and we're going to go to tasks, and then I'm going to paste that copied flow. And one cool thing is you notice it actually like got all the way down through, right? So now I can just modify. So auto open task step 1. So we're going to look and see if there's an ID. If there isn't, then we're going to go to step 2, change that to task. And I basically just have to kind of swap everything out here for task. All right, so task detail, and then this is going to compare task detail length. And then over here, instead of customers, we're going to go tasks. That stays the same. We'll go get all fields. And then if that's true, if it equals 1, then we go to step 3. And we're going to open the task detail instead. And we're going to open that. I think I have to reselect maybe on when we duplicate like that. Yeah, I guess so. Lightbox inner. We're going to open a specific record, but task, not a customer. So that's all set up. And then we're running the same flow on the same page. All right, so I forgot to change this name. Let's go to task. Okay, so now we've got auto open task step 1, step 2, step 3. And then let's go back to customers, go to page load. I do a condition new copy, come back over to page load, paste that in. Same thing, I'm going to do a wait on it. Looking for browser URL segment number 2 to be new. If it is new, then run open new task. If it's not new, then run open task step 1. All right, and then the last step to replicate, go to flows, and in the, it's actually in the open. I forgot I just put it in here. We just need to copy this, and we're just going to swap this information out. So on the task grid, go into here, and this is tasks, and then this is tasks. And that should be it. I think it'll actually just work. So now we've got tasks up here. That's not right. I wonder, Does this stuff need to be reselected maybe because I copy and pasted it? Tasks, ID. Does that open the wrong task ID? Let's see. Task 1. Okay, there. Yeah, I just reselected it and it fixed it. Okay, so now I've got this up here. So let's copy it. Did that work? Did not work. What did I miss? I missed something. Probably forgot to assign the event. Forgot to assign the event. I copy and pasted that that flow and didn't actually assign the event. All right, so task link copied, new tab, paste. Let's see, go to tasks, and do we open the task? We open the task, sweet. All right, and then let's go here to task 1, and let's go back, task 2. Oh, and there's one other thing we should do too. When I close these, that should actually go back to /tasks, right? Because it needs to remove that setup. So let's change that. So on close of the lightbox, this is going to be, this one will be fun because I think because I'm using the same lightbox in all areas, right? I can't just go back to /app. I have to know where I'm at and go in there. So what I can do is I can string it together and go like build out I can just go /app and then whatever's already in there. So let's try that. So in here, go to lightbox hide is where it is. So in this, I think this will do it. So we're going to reset the URL path. We're going to concatenate it together. And what we're going to do is go /app/ and then we're going to pull whatever is in the request URL segment 1 at that time. Right? So now we're in customers. So when I click this, it should go back to /app/customers. It did. Perfect. So if I go to tasks, I open a task, I close a task, we're good. I think that is doing all the steps. I got it across all of them. And what's really nice about this is my favorite part about doing this is like you can just go back through everything. Oh, and I don't know if you saw that. There's one other thing we got to do. So when it goes to the tasks, because prior to this there was no method of automatically opening stuff, right? So really when I go back to /tasks, it should also hide that lightbox. You know, the problem is going to be here. I'll create a loop if I do it the way that I just did it. So when I close this, it's going to go to /task, which is going to run the open on the tasks, which is then going to hide the lightbox, which is then going to open the /tasks. So it'll definitely create a loop there. So I'll have to change the way that that's structured. Let's see. Probably what I'll do is this is how I normally do this. I'll copy this out and we'll do a new flow called lightbox hide plus set URL. And I'll nest the lightbox hide in there, and then I'll paste this other part. So now I can run the lightbox hide by itself. So whenever I click on the lightbox, I want to do the hide plus set, but in the other areas, I want to just do the hide. So now we'll change. I think there's a click on here that's lightbox hide. So we want to do lightbox hide plus set URL here. Let's see if there's anywhere else. I don't think we do that from anywhere else. Oh, probably on these cancels. Yeah, there's actually a couple of other places we're going to want to do this. So there's going to be lightbox hide plus set URL. Lightbox hide plus set URL. Company detail. We didn't actually do it on company detail. We're going to have to go back through and do that too, because it doesn't actually have a setup at all. I forgot about the company detail. That's set up in here in the similar way. That's the other one. It like uses a component page. All right, so I'm going to keep going and just finish this out. Let me see if Drew's got any questions or anything? Cool. No questions for me. So I'm going to go ahead and like actually finish this all the way out, because at the end of this I actually want to publish this to the pattern, so that's just part of the pattern. So it's all set up. So we've got the cancel in there, but we need to make it now to where when this /tasks is open, that it will hide that. So what we can do, let's see, I think the way I'll do that, I think I'll do it in here. So on page load, let me see if I already have it. I don't. I'll copy it from up here. So I've got this flow on these other ones called external closed lightbox. So I'm going to copy that. And on page load at the end, it'll just hide it if it's open, right? But remember, and in this case, I don't want to do the hide plus set URL. I just want to hide it, right? So that was the reason. Just realized I copied the flow and pasted that in instead. So I'm going to remove that, go back over here. I don't want to copy the flow. I want to actually just copy this action. I'm just going to set this inside of the page load. All right, and we'll remove this from here, because I don't actually want it as a flow. I just want to do it directly in there. So flows and in page load and paste. All right, and I think that will now make it to where when I go here, what did I do here? I got another loop going on. I don't know if you can see it. So when I click that, it's opening that, which is running. Oh, I think it's because it's running the flows on the other page, which is then running this to close that. So we're going to do this even more granular. So I'm going to delete these out of here. So the problem we're trying to solve is that whenever I'm here and I go back like this, it's not closing this lightbox, right? And that's what I want it to close. There's a bunch of different ways that I could structure this to change it, so I'm trying to decide which way to go about it. I think I'll probably take the easy path, which is when it does the condition check and runs the open, I think if I put it there, it'll just solve it, because that's already happening. That's already happening on here. So if I think I actually have it already in here, right? So it's just the lightbox hide. So what I can do is inside of these opens, I'll just nest the hide and then run the flow on the other page in this case. In this case, we're going to nest the hide and just put it at the top. And then here, I'm going to nest the hide. So that way, if it's already open, it'll now just hide it. I think this will get it from all scenarios. I think. We might have to test around in this and see if we missed any scenarios. And team members. Okay. All right. So now let's try it again. Sorry. Let's try it again. All right. So if I go in here, I go back here, go in here, open customers. And then now we'll try the back button. Nice, that's what we want. Forward, backward, back to there, back to customers. Perfect. All right, so now let's make sure it works in tasks also. It should. Nice. I think we're golden there now. Okay. So I think that covers all of those. And now we have the close and the cancel. Let's see. You know what we didn't do though? On the add new, that should go app tasks and should change this to new also. So we missed one. So in here, let's see. just copy it from here. I always like to copy stuff because rather than searching for the action and resetting it up from scratch, it's just easier for me to remember the method whenever I just go in and do it like this. So I'll put it here, and we'll go app/customers/new. And I'm going to copy that actually because I don't want this as a concatenate anymore. Just a text value is fine. And then we're going to copy this over to the tasks and open new task, paste it, and tasks. My phone keeps hiding the screen so I can't see if there's any messages, but good. Okay, so now if I go new, oh, I've got a loop. Hang on. I just looped it. One sec. I think I know why. And I might have to do this either in another session or afterward and just explain how I did it. The reason is that because of the way that I structured that, where I'm going /app/tasks and I'm putting that inside of these backs, I might actually just have to not include history on the new. That's probably the way to do it. Like flush it out, just like hide it and not have that actually trigger the listener. Because what's happening is it's going /task/new, which is running back through the original state, which is finding /tasks and reopening it, which cuts it off. So that's why when I click this, it doesn't actually open it, and it starts to, it's actually like looping. You can see it's like looping through that. So I don't think I have time to actually go through and finish that right now though. So I'll have to do that afterward. But I hope this was informative. I've probably got a couple minutes here. If there's any questions, Drew or Dorian or Cora, that I can answer in real time. And then I'll have to go figure out this looping issue, which I think I know how to solve it, but it'll take me more than a couple minutes. So anything to add, Drew, or to answer? Drew, Dorian, Cora, anything in there? Give it a minute. And I'll take that as a no. You can also feel free to ask in Discord, and happy to answer in there as well. You all good, Cora? Cool. All right. Well, thank you, Drew, for answering all the questions. Appreciate it. And we will see you next week. All right. Thanks, everyone.